Sohail, welcome to Celtic. Could you just explain your journey in becoming the world's first fully qualified disabled football coach?
Yeah, well, basically, I used to play football up to the age of 13, but I always suffered from SMA. SMA is a spinal disability, but I suffered from a lower type of the disability. So up to the age of 13, I would take part in football matches, but I would obviously get tired towards the end of games. So I would play 70 minutes and go off and stuff like that, so I could still take part. But when I reached the age of 13, 14, I started, when I was playing 70 minutes, I would play 20 minutes and stuff, so I could feel myself getting kind of worse. So then I went to see some specialists and doctors, and they basically, because at the time, like every young kid has a dream of being a footballer. It's like you can't take that away. It doesn't matter what ability level you have, anything. Every young kid wants to be a footballer. So when I went in at 13, I was kind of told by specialists that you'd become wheelchair bound in 2 years, which at the time was a kick in the teeth. It was like, it's one of these things that you can't come to terms with, and for a good 5-6 years I never really came to terms with that up to the age of 16. And then I went to do A-level IT in college, and I met a guy called Andy Gudgeon, who was the sports teacher there. And to be fair, if I never really saw him, nothing would have happened, because I was just sitting waiting for my interview to do IT, and he basically just started chatting about football and other sports, and he said, like, you like football so much and you know so much about football, why don't you take up a course? And what I said to him was, I'm not allowed. And he kind of laughed it off, as in, what do you mean you're not allowed? And I was like, no, I'm not allowed. And he was like, I'll put you on a 6-week course. If you like it, stay on it, and if you don't, you can go off. I stayed on that 6-week course and then took my level 1, 2, 3 after that. And it just went from there, really.
You know, having to give up football must have been really tough for someone that loved the game so much. So what's driven you to continue this passion in football?
I think you can't get away from football. It's one of these things that's just always on the TV, and it's when you hear the crowd and stuff like that, it's like you want to be part of it somehow, either watching it, being a fan, or playing it, or coaching, or whatever. And I think it's one of these things where I kind of, around 14, 15, I kind of gave up, and I thought, oh, I'll have to go do something else. But there's always a part of me that wanted to be involved in the game somehow, and I always thought there's no way I can be involved in the game, and that was my mentality. But I think after talking to Andy, basically that's when everything really changed. And then after that, I was driven to go into sports coaching and football coaching.
So what coaching badges do you hold just now, and where are you coaching players?
At the moment, I hold FA level 1, 2 and 3. At the moment, I've just started coaching local teams. I coach 2 or 3 local teams, and I go into a lot of the youth club, because one of the things with me when I was growing up was I used to go to these youth clubs and we used to play football, but there used to be no chance of development there, and we used to never really get a chance of actually doing proper drills and stuff like that. So I actually want to do that with some of the young kids. So I've decided to go into the youth club for a few years and just kind of try to help develop some young players there.
And I understand you've received some messages of congratulations from some rather famous figures in the game.
It's been unreal. The last few months have just been insane, from Sir Alex Ferguson down to Lennox Lewis. And I'm not the greatest boxing fan, which is thinking boxing is not one of the sports I really watch, but everyone knows who Lennox Lewis is, and it's one of these things where the support I've had has been unbelievable. And I never really did it for that. It was really for me. I was always doing it because I loved, as funny as it sounds, I love to stand outside there and like be out there in the cold and coach. And a lot of people find that funny, but I love it. And I think with all this stuff that's happening afterwards, it's just been unbelievable.
So which famous, well-known managers have inspired you in your journey then?
I think there's been a lot of great managers. Sir Alex Ferguson probably is a great manager. Sir Matt Busby, Bill Shankly, and even Jock Stein. Basically with me was I could never demonstrate a drill, so I always had to go back and look at all these great coaches and managers. So I always went back and looked at Jock Stein, Sir Matt Busby and Bill Shankly and all these great managers. So it's one of these things that I had to always do, even Martin O'Neill as well. So it's one of these things that's made me go back and see how people manage and see how they coach the players and stuff like that.
So apart from the cold, I think you've just about thawed out now, what have your impressions been of things up here at Lennoxtown?
It's unbelievable. I think from coming in at the start, like seeing all the players come on, that it's starstruck, but it's one of these things that there's a lot of stuff in the media about footballers, and you come and you talk to them and stuff and you see how humble they are. And I think that's one of the things that doesn't really come across all the time. But when you come here, like meeting the players and stuff like that, and you actually see that it's just normal people, and it's actually true that they're just really humble.
And did you get a chance to speak to the manager or any of the coaching staff here at the club?
Yeah, I spoke to the manager and he was great. He kept explaining to me each drill that he was doing and stuff like that, which is great for me because one of the things I want to do is look at stuff like that. And it was great that he was telling me the possession games they were doing and stuff like that, and he was just telling me why they were doing it and stuff like that. So he really gave me great advice and really told me everything that they were doing.
So I know you're involved in a charity called Class and Grass as well. Can you just tell us a bit about that?
Yeah, well, Class and Grass, what we're trying to do is we're trying to get footballers to be ambassadors, and basically we want to get more disabled people involved in football, so wheelchair bound, whether they have learning disabilities or mental disabilities, just get them involved in football somehow. And also with the young kids as well, help them just basically go into youth clubs and develop them and stuff like that. So at the moment, Class and Grass, that's what we're basically trying to do.
And so what's next for yourself?
It's funny thing. I would lie if I said I didn't want to manage the biggest clubs in the world, because I always want to do that. I would want to manage in the Football League, win or coach in the Football League. So teams like Celtic, Man United, Real Madrid, I would want to manage these kind of clubs. And it's one of these things that I know one day it might never happen, but at least I'm chasing that goal and I love what I'm doing at the moment. So it's going to be great.